Welcome back to Approved AF, the Mortgage Licensing Podcast. Today I'm sitting down with Hussein Nasser, the founder of Grand Line Lending, a fast-growing multi-state mortgage brokerage known for its intentional growth, strong leadership culture, and systems-driven operation. Hussein went from working in corporate lending to launching a multi-state brokerage and attracting experienced, self-generated loan officers. In this episode, he shares the mindset shifts, licensing lessons, leadership strategies, and operations framework that helped him scale with clarity instead of chaos. If you're building or expanding a mortgage company, this conversation is pure strategy. So let's dive in. Hi, Hussein. How are you today?
Catalina, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you so much for joining us on Approved AF. And just for all of our listeners here, give us a quick overview into who you are. Tell us a little bit about your company, where you're based, who you serve, and what makes your company stand out.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it. So my company, Grand Line Lending, we went live in July, so we're pretty much a startup still. We're based out of Southfield, Michigan, but we have an office location in Charlotte as well. So we have a location in Michigan, a location in North Carolina. Currently, we're serving borrowers in 7 states. Most of those are in the Carolinas, though. That's where we see the majority of our business. Our company's a little bit different in that we only hire on experience producing self-gen loan officers. So we don't do anything with lead buy. We don't do anything with brand new loan officers. So everybody on our team has years of experience doing self-gen, and it really translates to a better client experience that way.
That's awesome. Yeah, that is kind of different than what we've heard from other companies that have been on with us or that have shared their stories. So that's a very unique take. And for GL lending, which is also Grand Line Lending, you've really worked on building a reputation for being intentional about how you strategically grow your company. So kind of before we dive into the licensing side of things, can you share what was the genesis for you to start your own company?
Okay, well, I mean, first and probably foremost, so I grew up with a father who's pretty much a serial entrepreneur. So, I mean, he owned gas stations, got rental properties, even owned a computer warehouse for a bit. So pretty much if there was a way to make money, he was hopping in it. And pretty much ever since I was young, I can literally hear his voice repeating, "Never work for anyone, work and build something for yourself." So first, that's always been kind of a driving force behind my decisions. And then second, after spending kind of almost close to a decade in the corporate lending world, split between retail and wholesale, I just felt like it was the time to take the knowledge that I had learned up until that point and implement it. And really, at the end of the day, just better myself.
Excellent. So yeah, kind of jumping off of that, in those early days, what were some of the biggest challenges or surprises in getting your business kind of going?
So definitely the biggest challenge for me was remaining patient during the setup phase because I found out things take time. I mean, setting up the business takes time, registering it in multiple states takes time, state licenses takes time. And I'm someone who likes to have things done immediately. My mom says that the perfect time for me to have something done is yesterday. Like that's how on top of things I am. So kind of finding out, hey, this state license that you're about to submit, it's going to be 90 to 120 days before they even process it, before you even hear anything back. That was just kind of me out of my element. So definitely it was patience. Just watched it.
Yeah, that is something that we do hear a lot of people kind of come back and, I got this idea, I'm ready to go, I'm ready to execute it right now, which is all well and good, but then some of those waiting periods are outside of our control to even speed it up. There is no ability to make that process go faster. But yeah, patience is something I think a lot of people need to work on and grow, myself included. But
Hey, you and me both.
what what was that moment that you realized this isn't just about doing loans anymore? It is about actually building a legacy, building a business.
So luckily for me, that moment hit me before my business even launched. So initially, when I left, my full intention was I was gonna be a one-man broker shop. I was gonna have a third-party processor, and I could be focused on doing my own business, building up my pipeline, and that was the goal, keeping the workforce slim. What I didn't expect is as I was getting things set up, the amount of uh, LOs that I had already built relationships with through my previous employment, the amount that had reached out to me to find out, hey, what are you doing? Is this something that I can come on board with? So it was at that point I realized, hey, everything I'm doing right now is not going to work if I plan on bringing people on board. Like I don't have the processes in place, I don't have the tech stack in place, I just don't have the value proposition in place to be bringing on the people that want to join. So at that point, I made a shift in what my focus was and focused on building a business versus finding out how I'm going to build my pipeline.
I mean, that honestly says so much about you as a person and your character that people are reaching out to you to find out how they can join your team versus you seeking them out. So that's awesome. And it's also really telling that you could stay so nimble in your mindset to shift when it needed to shift. I think a lot of people struggle with that going, this is the plan and I got to stick to the plan when opportunity change or present themselves differently than what you thought.
Hey, some of the biggest companies out there started out doing something else.
Yep. What what would you say was a good leadership lesson that came out of the season early from your early days that is still guiding you and how you do things today?
So probably the biggest lesson I learned is that you need to be in the weeds of every single part of the business. You need to know how it works. You need to know everything that's involved with it before you can start delegating out any sort of responsibility. So even when it comes to third party, like how else can I be sure that things are being done correctly in a timely fashion if I don't understand how they work myself? So I got burned a little bit by deferring to people early on who I saw as experts in the field, and just through my own ignorance, not spending the time to learn that part of the business, it set me back a little bit. So that was a hard lesson, but one that I needed to know. And now moving forward, I've made sure that every single part of the business, even if it's something that's eventually be delegated out, that's not going to be a responsibility of mine. I need to be in the weeds in it.
No, you're right. That is a good lesson to learn early on, and I'm glad that that experience happened early enough so that you could learn from it and be successful as you are now. So, kind of going off of that with your former experience, what do you say stood out to you about licensing stores approach and you being a member of our monthly licensing management program? And just kind of feeling like, yes, this is different. This is what my company needs right now.
So before getting connected with your guys' team, I handled everything compliance related. So getting my business registered in every single state, the broker license applications, onboarding LOs, clearing licensing items. Like I was kind of a one man show. And honestly, I mean, going back to me trying to do things too fast and get them done yesterday, mistakes were made. So once I joined the program and saw everything that you guys were able to offer, compliance doesn't really keep me up at night anymore. Uh, your team, and I'm not just saying this because hey, we're on a podcast right now, but your team did phenomenal. Like requests are fulfilled quickly, questions are answered same day, which I really appreciate it. And also based on my company goals, like proactive guidance is given as well. So it basically just freed up time for me to focus on areas of the company where I'm actually needed and on tasks that only I can complete.
Oh, I love that. I really do, because that's exactly what licensing store's true goal is, and it's so nice to hear that that is exactly what it's fulfilling for you. We definitely don't want you guys sitting up late at night wondering what compliance issues are lurking for you around the corner, which is why we designed our monthly licensing management program. But, beyond that, that is why we're doing a podcast like this, so that that education, that resource can be out there for people to listen to whenever it is relevant for them.
And the
Uh,
support you guys offer is not just, hey, the kind of box checking, like document gathering type stuff. Like anytime I have any sort of question, like there's multiple people on your team that I feel comfortable reaching out to, that I know are going to get back to me in a timely fashion and give me the answer I need. So I appreciate that level of support.
oh, thank you. And how has having that support system of those team members changed the way that you manage your company or that you delegate your time?
Well, first, I'm definitely less stressed. In our business, I mean, it's compliance heavy. Like you can live or die by compliance. So, being able to go to sleep knowing that, hey, there's not something that I might have accidentally missed or did wrong is a huge plus. But what I would say is, um, it freed up a lot of time because it wasn't just the time that I was spending actually completing these tasks, but also the time that was going in and researching, making sure that I knew everything that I needed to know to be able to do these things. So now that that's not on my plate anymore, I actually didn't realize how much time I was spending every single day on things like that.
And it's not for a lack of capabilities. Again, you guys are business owners, you're starting companies, you're able to figure these things out. You're very smart and capable human beings, right? And
Right.
but it is the matter of we only have so much time in the day, and if you're doing this one off versus this is somebody's like expertise and forte, how much faster can they get this done for me rather than the time it takes me to research and implement and do all of these things. Yes, it might not be yesterday, but it can be tomorrow.
Exactly. Exactly. It just allows me to spend more time focusing on like high impact activities that only I can do.
Exactly. So if you were to tell your younger self or maybe another CEO who might be sitting on the fence of about outsourcing or getting started, what advice would you give to them?
So first, get in the weeds. So not saying you need to be an expert on everything compliance related, but you also don't want to be in the position where you're in the dark as well. So first is spend the time learning what's needed, how things work. But then once you have that level of knowledge, immediately delegate that out. Like uh, when it comes to like things that we need to do, or let me rephrase that, things that need to be done for the company. There's things that only I can do, and then there's things that can be done by somebody else. And it just takes a bunch of self-auditing all the time to make sure that I'm not spending time on things that I can have somebody else do an even higher level than myself. So I would say once you've been in the weeds, once you learn, now it's somebody else's role, and you move
Excellent.
on to the next task.
I think it's hard for a lot of people, especially managers or high functioning performers, to delegate, but it is such a functional part of being able to create a scalable business is creating those systems and having a team that you can trust to delegate those items out to. I
It
think
was
that was
just
really
one
well said.
person at the end of the
Yep.
day.
What I know you w- take a lot of time to develop your own self. What are some systems or routines that are like non-negotiables for you as a person and you in your business?
So structure would be. So I had a leader back in the day who used to always say, "Structure is a salesperson's best friend." Without it, we can be running around all day thinking that we're getting somewhere, But then when we sit down on the couch late at night or we go to sleep and we start to reflect back, we realize that we didn't really move the needle at all. So there's things that I know that every single day I need to be doing for the company to keep it up and running. Those things are on a daily checklist that I know going into each day what I'm going to be doing. And then I think weekends are really a time that a lot of people don't take advantage of. You got, and not saying, hey, you gotta pull a 9 to 5 every Saturday and Sunday, but Sundays where I take a couple hours of the day to look at, okay, what are the things that I want to accomplish this week? Like there's the things that need to get done, and then there's the things that I want to be able to get done, so that going in Monday morning, I know where I'm at with both.
Yeah, setting yourself up to be successful is crucial, and not waiting until Monday morning to do that, but rather I even started having that conversation with myself on Friday, like, okay, am I, do I have the things ready to go for Monday? And then using Saturday and Sunday as that catalyst to pull back so that Monday morning you can be right there and in it. I think that's very important.
Yep,
Great
you're setting
mindset shift.
your future self up for success.
I actually tell my kids that, hey, are you set up for success for tomorrow? Like, is your stuff done? And they're like, yeah. So, no, it's just very true.
Hey, eventually they'll grow to love that.
They hopefully, if not, they'll just know that that was mom's mantra. How have you established accountability and trust within your team while still giving them the freedom to perform?
Well, I think it really boils down to setting correct expectations up front, from the very beginning. So it's expectations on what their role is, what their responsibilities are, the responsibilities of the team, set expectations on the process, and even set expectations on what happens if the responsibilities are not fulfilled, or they're not done at whatever expectation level like we've put into place. So once those expectations are set, and I mean granular expectations, like you can't leave anything for the imagination, because then that can breed a lack of trust there. But once you have those expectations set, from there it's just about providing the resources they need to fulfill and exceed those expectations, while having some sort of transparent mechanism in place for accountability. And once those expectations are set, like on a granular level, accountability no longer feels like it's an attack. It's an expectation.
I actually really love that statement. When you say that you're communicating the expectations, how do you find it's clearest to communicate those expectations? Is it usually just like a verbal conversation, or is it all written out? You're using KPIs and metrics as the guideposts. And then is it, timing? Is it before they start, weekly, monthly? What does that
Yep.
look like?
So it depends on what area of the company, whether it's sales or whether it's our operations team. Expectations are different for both, but it's all about having some sort of simplified and streamlined set process. So sales need, 'cause at the end of the day, you got to be able to produce like a consistent experience to both our clients, our referral partners, and of course our team. So when it comes to communication, like first, it's having the resources up front. So making sure that when you're onboarding somebody, they know they have resources available to go over what the process is like. And then what we're able to do in some of the systems that we work out of is we're super task heavy. So depending on, say it's a loan, since we're talking about a mortgage company right now, but depending on where we're at with the stage of the loan, we have automated tasks that go out that is coming out, that tells you exactly what your responsibility is at that point of the loan, when it's supposed to be completed by as well, to add that level of transparency and accountability on there so that everybody knows exactly where everything's at and when.
I love that. Is there a particular system that you use that you would recommend or enjoy using to help with, productivity or communication that you find helpful within your team?
So as far as like for loans, so we work out of Arrive, and Arrive released, I think it was in July, they released their task functions, which are really great. So that really keeps our team on top of every single step of the loan, and I mean every single step. Um, we've we've got processes in place for when things are going smooth, and for when things kind of hit the fan as well, um, which I feel like is even more important to have processes in place for that stuff. And then from there, we have individual chat groups with each LO, the processor, myself, and the sales manager, so that there's always somebody to answer questions at any stage of the loan. So that's where we probably kind of communicate the most out of those two systems.
That's awesome. And I appreciate that insight because I think that communication is, well, my husband says you can solve all 90% of all problems with communication. The other 10% require financial support.
Yep.
But it is one of the things that can reduce errors and reduce problems. But it's also one of the hardest things to stay consistent with is making sure that you're communicating properly. Um,
I'll even go as
and
far to say over communication. Like I would take that even if it gets annoying at some points. Like I would rather over communicate than under communicate.
yep, yep, 100%. How do you personally stay organized and focused as a business owner? Are there any like daily routines or leadership habits that you've implemented that have made a big difference for you?
Yeah. So the first thing is eliminating everything below my floor. So once you understand what your goal is and where you're heading, then you can self-reflect and find out, okay, well, there's things that I'm doing either in my personal life or at the office or whatever it might be that are not cohesive with achieving that goal, right? So first things first is canceling out everything that has been below that floor, that's taking me away from being able to accomplish what I'm trying to do. And then the second is building a structure around the highest impact actions that only I can do. So I try to once again self audit towards the end of the week, which is always going to be the case. Like I'll never start or stop self auditing my week, but making sure that wherever my focus is are the things that's going to drive the company forward in the greatest capacity.
Yep. And then we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier was your ability to delegate and have a team that you do trust. So when you're growing out a business, you get to a point where you say, okay, I've worn all the hats and I've done all the things, but I can't scale unless I start letting some of these things go out to other people. What have you learned through delegation and trust as your company has expanded?
So through those self audits, first you identify the things that you're doing throughout the week that are things that only you can do as the owner, as the broker, whatever it might be. And then there's things that are being done that can be done by someone else, right? Now, those tasks that can be done by someone else immediately get delegated out. Now, I find that as long as you have a defined, repeatable process for those tasks, that you're setting your team member up to take over without skipping any sort of beat. What you don't want to do is delegate out a task to someone and not set a standard for how you expect those things to be done, when you expect them to be done, like really all of it. Because then that creates blind spots in your process, and just breakdown.
Yep. Yep. Um, so kind of going back to your mindset as an early business owner, it is a mortgage licensing company. What is something that you wish you had known before you had gotten started or before you had made that you know, uh, how do I want to phrase that? What's something that you wish you had known early on that may have prevented a setback for you?
Um, so I would say I wish I would have known the time that things take. Because I had conversations with people way too early on, but that then once finding out how long things take, realized that hey, those conversations weren't going to go anywhere at that point, or things that I could have got into process sooner had I known as well. So I've missed out on a couple hires that I wanted due to things like that. But at the end of the day, it's just a learning experience. And now I know, hey, every state that we're adding, which we're continuing to add states, we're being proactive in finding out time frames so that then when we do have conversations with loan officers that need their license in those states, that we can give them some accurate timeline versus, hey, what I was doing initially, just telling them, hey, I'm about to submit Virginia and we're good. Um, start sending over your pipeline and I'll bring you over by next month.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point is, like you said, communication and expectations. So even kind of starting that research and communication process early on so that you're able to then set your personal expectations, your team's expectations, your client's expectations appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's
Hey,
that's a really
setting expectations is the running theme.
title of the show, expectations.
Hey, people
Uh,
people don't do it enough.
They really, I think goal setting is great, and having like delusional goals to really push yourself, but not necessarily when it comes to business. You think you need to be a little bit more realistic of what it's actually going to take because it's not for everybody. It's not for the faint of heart, and timing is crucial, especially as markets have been shifting. How have you been able to stay encouraged and stay motivated while markets have been ever changing?
So it's not so much motivation because motivation. You wake up one morning and you're motivated. The next morning you're not. It's more about like the discipline to stay consistent with the action that you know are going to drive business and growth. So regardless whether I'm motivated or not, uh, I know money follows success. So I know that if I'm doing the actionable items that I need to do every single day, that I'm going to hit my 6 month goal, my 1 year goal, my 3 year goal, which are all outlined and then kind of reverse engineered from there. So if once you just focus on what you can control and you know that the things that you're focusing on are the right things, then it doesn't matter what the market shift is going to look like, you're going to end up winning.
Has there been a time where you have focused on something thinking it's the right thing and quickly found out that that was the wrong thing to be focusing on? And how did you mentally have to like shift yourself away from that?
So I spent a lot of time uh looking up AI. Like I was even trying to figure out how to create AI agents for my team, just thinking that hey, AI is the next wave. I need to get on AI. I need to do everything possible that you can do with AI. And so there was a lot of not I don't want to say it was wasted because now I know a lot about AI. None of it relevant to my company, I might add. But once I shifted that focus to, okay, AI is a tool that we can use to do things more efficiently, quicker. It doesn't need to be in every single aspect of the business. Business doesn't have to be built around it. We're still we're still in the people business at the end of the day. But that's something that I did spend a lot of time and energy on that maybe could have been shifted elsewhere.
That's actually a really good one because it's not to say that that doesn't work for other people and their companies and what they're doing. It was just not the right focus for you and your team right now.
Yep. The beautiful thing about a broker shop is, I mean, I can I can name off 10 different broker shops off the top of my head right now, and they all run their business differently.
Yep.
between their hiring, between the way they get their leads, between the way they process their loans, the way their ops is set up. It's like there's no one size fit all. So I'm sure, hey, for some companies, it might work to go all in with the AI. With ours, it was, hey, let's find the areas where AI can help our team do their job more efficiently.
But I like what you said. We're in the people business and not losing sight of that being the core of what you guys do. Um, but what is something that you think business owners overcomplicate that they really don't need to?
Um, I would say two things. Uh, so first one would be on the operation side, and that's the loan process. For some reason, like I've worked with a ton of brokerages over the years, big ones, small ones, and you'd be surprised how many of them just have very inefficient processes in place. And then these inefficiencies lead to bloat at every single level. Like you're talking more operations, more leaders that are needed at that point, 'cause people are not doing their job at the most efficient level that they can. And all that does is limit sales. So what we kind of do here, and this is where the way we thought about our process to like a granular level, is that every single stage of the loan, and like I mentioned earlier, not just hey when the loan's going smooth, but hey what are the things that take you off the path towards closing. So at every single stage of the loan, who's responsible? What does that person do? When do they have to do it by? Because you can't scale an inefficient process, and eventually you start to lose people.
For anybody who tuned out, you cannot scale an inefficient process. I please hear that. Set those foundations, get the system in place, add the proper team members to it, but set the process.
And a lot of
Um,
times people think it's just throwing more bodies at it. Oh, we're busy. Like my team's busy. I need to hire more. When if you kind of took a step back and you looked at everything as a whole and then went on to like a granular level, you'd find, okay, well, this person's working at half capacity because of some sort of bottleneck in the process at some place.
yep, 100%. And I think doing those reviews and being like candid with yourself and your team members being candid with you allows you to see those bottlenecks where they really are.
hmm And
Uh,
and and the other thing I might add on there is, um, too many people are reluctant to take feedback from their team. So on our weekly meeting, that we have, I don't believe in hey multiple meetings a week, but we have one every single week. But we always end it with, hey, we're I call them roadblocks. What are the roadblocks that we're seeing with certain lenders? What are the roadblocks that we're seeing with our process? Where things fallen to the wayside, or maybe that we overlook. So it's always at the forefront of, hey, how can we make things better or more efficient? How
love
can we make
that.
sure we could do more with less?
I love that. How do you personally keep yourself goal oriented and grounded as you continue to build a company? I know for some people, as they start to grow and they start to see that they're building something as amazing as you've been building yours, that can really get to their head and they can kind of lose sight of who they are and what their actual mission is. So how do you do that?
So first I set an impossible goal. So it's one that I probably can't hit. But it's always gonna keep me hungry. Um, so and then it's also setting goals that are not just hey a 10-year goal, right? Like I have an outlined 6 month goal where we want to be with hiring with our team, where we want to be a year, where we want to be 3 years from now. So as long as there's always something that we're working towards, then I don't see myself becoming complacent. And I mean, I'm also very competitive. Like I want to own one of the biggest brokerages in the country, and that's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen by accident. So I have to be very deliberate in what I do, and making sure that we stay consistent with it.
Very cool. Uh, again, I've been really enjoying watching your guys' growth, and I think you guys are building something quite amazing.
Okay.
What do you have in line next for Grand Line Lending?
So by the end of the year, our team should be at 7 LOs, and 2 people in operations. But for 2026, I plan to go heavy on marketing and common sense technology, stuff that's going to drive efficiency and drive growth to my LOs. And the goal is to bring on um, one solid LO a month.
Uh-huh.
I don't want the 100 LO company where, hey, all the business is coming from the top 10 people and you have 50 people that are hey, just kind of hanging their license. I want to bring on one quality person a month, and and our value proposition aligns with that.
Quality over quantity.
Yep.
Well, where can people learn more about Grand Line Lending, learn more about you, connect?
Well, I mean, of course, we've got our website, which has our email at the bottom, grandlinelending.com. We have our social media as well. You can get us on Instagram. You can get us on Facebook, on LinkedIn, if you wanted to. And then, of course, I'm on all those as well. So if you want, search LinkedIn, search my name, Hussein Nasser, and you can find me.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. Really appreciate your insights, and thank you for sharing.
Hey, of course. Thanks for having me on.
All right, that does it for this episode. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Approved AF, the Mortgage Licensing Podcast. If this conversation helped clarify what it really takes to scale a mortgage company with intention, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode with someone who's building their own legacy. Follow along on Instagram at ApprovedAF_licensing for more insights, trend, and compliance tips. Until next time, stay licensed, stay compliant, and stay approved AF.